Broadcasted live.
Hey, who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of the program. I am Dan Scott. Good to be with you this morning. It is Tuesday. Tom Van Hoy is in the house, and we've got a good show lined up for you, I think, today. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, right?
It starts that way.
Yeah. The intentions are always good.
The bar's here, and when it's over, it depends on which way you move the meter.
Of course, as a friend of mine who's an attorney once told me, he said the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes.
So, you just have to take that under advisement. Hey, what do you think of the new look there, Tom Van Hoy?
Other than me and you being in
I know
the shot, it looks good. Looks really good. Yeah, nicely done.
That's kind of the one hazard we have is it's.
I'm dressed look like Nanook of the North here.
Well, mine's down there. I did acquiesce and actually wear a jacket this morning.
45 degrees. All of a sudden, I'm thinking I'm in Canada or something. I learned a long time ago you can always take stuff off. So
yes,
leaking of layers.
Yes, to a point.
Well, yeah. I wouldn't go down that road that far.
Yeah, Tom is a guy who, when we travel, sometimes, he always carries a kind of like an attaché case, what you call it?
Well, as cheap as I am, it was an old computer bag.
Yeah.
And now I use it as a carrying case.
Yeah. There's number one, there's no computer in this old computer bag.
No computer in the bag. That thing was shot a long time ago.
Yeah, right. But what is in the bag is all of, as he likes to call them, copious notes, and there's usually like half a case of water,
something
in his bag, a little snack to keep you going, and as I've come to find out, sometimes even if not a full, at least a partial change of clothes.
Well, you've traveled as much as I have over the years, and I used to be one of those guys that I just hopped in and went. I mean, I didn't pay any attention to anything.
I still do that.
And I'm telling you, now, I mean, I could build a small fort if I had to. I've got provisions.
Well,
where are you going, Spartanburg? Yeah. Well, have you been on I-85 lately?
Right.
Or I-26?
As we once found out a long time ago, all you really need to build a fort are 4 poles, 10-foot tarp, and a roll of duct tape.
Well, yeah, but you also need somebody that has some technical expertise when they're standing around like you're monkeys in a zoo.
Right.
Why are you doing that flat when it's raining? You understand that water's going to pool. Well, yeah, okay. You want to help us? No, we're enjoying watching you guys do it. So
Yeah.
anyway, we had our own reality TV for a while, and it was the opposite of like a, what do you call it? Do it yourself. It was it was a combination of do it yourself and comedy.
Are you kidding?
Yes, that'd be an even better one.
Yeah, are you kidding?
Hey, look at these two guys, man. And, I don't want to throw you under the bus. I missed that gene, but the best,
no.
The best thing about it is I live by some guys that I'm telling you what, man. We could launch the space shuttle with everything they have in their garages, so I'm good. I just go over and borrow stuff.
No, I am not a home improvement, Mr. Fix-It, that kind of person. I have a hard time driving a nail straight, But amazingly, when push comes to shove, I can rig things up sometimes to get by, as evidence of our famous makeshift tent in Abbeville that time. I actually have repaired a dryer at home a couple of times, replaced a heating element on one.
At what point did you call the fire department?
Well, it almost didn't have to call the fire department because the first time I got down on the floor to reach in to pull out the old heating element, right before I reached in there and grabbed something, I realized I had not shut off the power.
Okay.
So I had to get back up and throw the breaker. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to get back up and throw the breaker.
Oh, man.
So,
as long as you don't electrocute yourself.
Exactly.
Like, what do you mean? I had a friend of mine that, I don't know, like digging a trench or something, and like the county came and, was I supposed to ask you about digging near this power line?
Call 811, yeah.
So there are a lot of people that can do it, and I've come to I come to terms with. Thankfully, my wife is really, really good at that kind of stuff. And it's kind of embarrassing, but you know what? You come to deal with it.
Well, what I do, I have several friends that are good at that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I invite them to the house for dinner and start talking about my dilemma.
Yeah,
and
hey, man.
And pretty soon, we can take care of that.
Take a look at that. Well, we always, in whatever, personally, professionally, you have to determine what your strengths and weaknesses are. And one of my strengths, and this is really sad, is the ability to get somebody else to do something for me. So I don't need to pass that along. As part of.
Oh no, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. And normally, it really goes back to the earliest days when my dad would be doing something, and I would ask, can I help? And he said, yeah, the best way you can help is to stay out of the way.
Hand me this too.
Yeah, or something like that.
I agree with you there because I grew up the same way. I had an older brother than my dad, and it's like, I didn't learn to do anything because I got it. We got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good. I'm going to go shoot baskets,
I'm going to go practice broadcasting. Right.
Need to continue to do that. So.
Oh, mercy. On the show today, we are going
to... By the way.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a method to this madness. We are going to talk a little bit more about Furman Sanford and then kind of turn the page on that and start looking at this weekend's matchup with the Citadel World Series. Begins tonight. Tom and I will discuss that a little bit and give you our predictions for who will win and in how many games. And then, is it possible, this has been talked about in conference realignments going back 15 years, but is there a future scenario that may not be too far in the future that could actually see Clemson and Florida State moving to the Southeastern Conference? Yeah, it's far-fetched, but maybe it's not as far-fetched as you think. We'll explain coming up a little bit later on in the show. The show is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Creative. Each and every day I tell you about the wonderful job Randy and his staff have done on my new website, thedanscottshow.com, which you see right there at the bottom of your screen. They do so much more than just website design. Something as simple as a logo for your business or taking marketing as well as brand strategy and development to brand new levels. They can do it all. They do it for the big guys, the heavy hitters in this area, and they do it for small business people like me at great prices, and the service is outstanding. 864-250-2012. You see it on your screen, lower left. and the website carolinacreative.co. Carolina Creative, more about them coming up in this commercial set, and the Dan Scott Show will return in just a moment. Hey, everybody, Dan Scott here, and I want to tell you about my technology partner, Carolina Creative Group. When my show needed a creative technology boost, I turned to Carolina Creative Group. My custom design website is going to take marketing as well as brand strategy and development to new levels. The search engine optimization means that my clients' ads will be seen by more people more often. And if I have any questions, Carolina Creative Group is just a phone call away. Friends, that is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. You can find out all the ways that Carolina Creative Group can help your business by simply calling 864-250-2012. Again, that's 864-250-2012, or simply visit them online at carolinacreative.co. Carolina Creative Group, technology partner of the Dan Scott Show.
If you're looking for the perfect frame for that special photo or painting, Custom Corners Frame Shop in Seneca can deliver for you. Family owned for nearly 4 decades, Trevor and the folks at Custom Corners Frame Shop pride themselves on quality, presentation, and professionalism. They offer picture framing for every budget, and every job is custom. Custom Corners Frame Shop also sells work from local artists as well as locally themed gifts. For more information, visit them at 289 Market Street in Seneca. Call 864-882-7736 or find them on Facebook, Custom Corners Frame Shop in Seneca.
Imagine a university. A university where your passion for protecting local water sources is encouraged. And now, your work not only benefits your career, but the health of those in your community and around the world. This is Furman. This is the Furman Advantage.
Dan Scott here for the Atlanta Bread Company. What do I like about Atlanta Bread? Well, too much to mention in a short commercial, but here are a few things. Bread baked daily fresh on site, a tremendous selection of soup, sandwiches, and salads, seasonal special additions to the menu, delicious hot coffee, and a bevy of other drink options. And yeah, can't forget about the baked sweet goodies. Dine in or carry out, and when you have the Atlanta Bread Company app, you can order and pay online, then breeze past the lines to the pickup counter to get your food. Experience it for yourself. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville.
When you go in search of a fence company, what's your criteria? Experience? Trust? A company that gets it right the first time and stands behind its work? Then your search is over. Faulkner Fence has been Greenville's fence company for more than 40 years. Ed Faulkner started the business, and now son Todd continues the tradition of excellence. So regardless of your fencing needs, commercial, industrial, or residential, trust the company that Greenville has trusted for over 4 decades. Faulkner Fence, 864-271-4626, or online at FaulknerFenceCompany.com.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
All right, we are back. Good to have you with us as we continue on this Tuesday edition of the program. Dan Scott and Tom Van Hoy polluting your computer screen wherever you may be. We're very happy to have you along with us, though, and encourage you again to go out to the website, thedanscottshow.com, where you can watch the show live and archive the resource page. You can get to basically anywhere you want to go in the world of sports just by going to the resource page. Go spend some time on the site. Let us know what you think about it. Dan at thedanscottshow.com is the email address. And there's the contact form there on the website as well. All right, so Tom and I were here along with David Cobb and Marcus McMorris for Furman and Samford on Saturday. I talked about it a bit yesterday, of course. And Tom, the thing that you're still kind of shaking your head about, it's 19-10 after the 77-yard touchdown pass. Furman intercepts a pass, has it inside the 40-yard line of Samford, and looking for what may not be a knockout blow that early in the game against that high-powered offense, but a chance to get up 3 scores if you're able to convert something there. And instead, you have the fumble, the scoop and score by Ahmad Gooden, and they scored 4 touchdowns in less than 12 clock minutes. I mean, it turned just like that.
Yeah, it was a situation where, you even go back to when Harris Roberts got knocked out on that second possession, and I thought the first possession and moving the ball looked pretty good, and obviously coming off the performance his last time out when he went 16 out of 19 and that win over Wofford, and then all of a sudden you got to change gears a little bit, but hung in there, and you had that 19-10 lead, and then all of a sudden, as you just documented, the ball gets knocked out of there, picked up and goes the other way, and then you're still in pretty good shape, but then you kind of run into a little bit of a rut there offensively, and they're so good, and with Hodges there, I think he ended up 40 out of 52 in the first half. He was 20 out of 28, and then second half 20 out of 24. I mean, that's just tough to defend against, and the momentum went the other way, and I know it was at a different point in the game than it was in the Elon game, but it kind of reminded you a little bit of that early on when that ball was knocked out, and Elon at that point got the momentum and able to really kind of handle that game. But you were still in there, and you hung in there. You just couldn't get the stops that you needed to do. And as you mentioned, 4 touchdowns in about 10 minutes and 48 seconds that turned out to be the difference in the game. Granger gets knocked out of the game. Jamar Lincoln came in, and I know it was late in the game. You're calling some timeouts, but you got some positive things going and got a late touchdown there. But, yeah, it's amazing how the momentum shifts can happen in a football game or sometimes in any other sporting event as well. And, boy, that was one that – you're sitting there, you're feeling good about it, and then all of a sudden it's the old air comes out of the balloon to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, the defense had held up remarkably well through the first half, and those first almost 5 minutes of the second half were really beyond 5 minutes of the second half. And, of course, Grayson Atkins had kicked the 4 field goals in the first half, 3 of them from 50 or more, which tied a national record for most 50-yard field goals in a game. So you were sitting there at halftime kind of thinking, okay, let's see what happens now. And then the next thing that happened was the 77-yard touchdown pass. They had missed 2 big opportunities in the first half when Granger had come in. The ball that Devin Wynn did not turn around on in time, which would have been a touchdown, hit him in the face mask, I believe, and then the deep ball to Thomas Gordon that he had to leap for, got his hands on, but couldn't pull it down. But they didn't miss that one, and it's 19-10, and you'd been able to run the football, you make the big play in the passing game, but after the Ahmad Gooden scoop and score, during that stretch, you just couldn't do anything. You couldn't block them. You couldn't run the football anymore. I mean, just absolutely nothing worked for that 10 or 11 minutes of clock time, and that's when Samford, look, that offense is too good to hold down forever, and they finally got it cranked up.
Yeah, reminiscent of what transpired in the second half at East Tennessee. Went up 27-9, and then they changed quarterbacks, and that was a difference on that side of the ball. But then offensively, just against East Tennessee, could not just get anything going at all. Then a couple of miscues down the stretch provided opportunity for East Tennessee to win that game. And you said you go back and you look at that. You hold Samford to 10 points in the first half, and they gone right down to bend the ball game. And you can't really count on the fact that you're going to kick 3 50-yard field goals. And interesting, the post game when we were downstairs, Marcus and I with Grayson Atkins, and he was telling us that. Yeah, he thought that second one was only 46.
Right.
He goes, and I hit it, and I thought, well, it just, it should get there, right? Well, it got there, but what was it, like 51 and a half or something? Now, that first one he kicked, I mean, that thing was, we look out here, it was halfway up the hill there. I mean, it could have gone a long way. So, yeah, and I think Coach Hendrickson, post-game, and at a certain point, you're going to grow up, but they're a young football team, and they made some mistakes, and with good teams take advantage of that. A Samford team and again, Western Carolina and VMI's defenses are not very good, and they had put, I don't know, 1,035 yards passing and 12 touchdowns on the board the two previous. Now, I think Hodges ended up with 402 or something like that, but hard to keep a team like that down. But, to hold them to 10 points the first half was pretty good. Real good.
The injury situation, Harris Roberts, I was told yesterday, is listed as day-to-day. The reason he was out of the game is when he got hit there on the second possession. He banged his head on the turf, so was going through concussion protocol. So he's day-to-day, and Amir Trapp, who was injured on one of the touchdown passes, also is day-to-day. Everybody else that came out of the game for one reason or another is healthy and should be good to go definitely this weekend. Those are the only two question marks, and we'll know more about them as the week goes on.
Yeah, it's, of course, David Cobb, who does the color with you, and a former offensive lineman. I remember late in the game, and he was telling Marcus, go over and see about Krober over there. Make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
Which, you pay attention to all of them, but it was, a key piece to the puzzle there on the offensive line, making sure that everything was okay as well there. So,
well, and looking ahead to this week as you start turning the page now, you go back to a physical option style team in the Citadel, much like you faced 2 weeks ago against Wofford. So you got some guys who were sore and banged up a little bit, and now you're going to go back to an option-style offense where you're going to get a lot of cut blocks and a lot of that kind of blocking when they are running out of the double wing set and some of the things that they do. So you've got another physical matchup ahead of you here. Tell you what, the training staff at schools like Furman or any school really, I don't think, get as much credit as they deserve, because baseball season, for instance, I live on the road with the team, and even at home, seeing Mike Brown, who he is the baseball trainer, works with football and other sports, but baseball is his assigned sport. Guys have to get treatment early. That means they have to come in at 6 o'clock in the morning. And if you have a 7 o'clock game, that means Mike is working from 6 o'clock in the morning until, 11 o'clock at night or later, and then repeating the process the next day. They don't get the credit they deserve.
Well, and there are those that that maybe have 10 or 12 people on staff that can do that, and then in some cases you got to be there at that amount of time. So you got to get them ready to play, and particularly you mentioned baseball, but in football it takes a while to recover. But I thought the Furman Wofford game, you really wondered how that one was going to go in terms of a young Furman defense against a very potent, obviously, running football team for Wofford. There's number 4 in the country that came in averaging 388 yards rushing per game, led the country in that particular category. And, man, they did well. I mean, really well. How do you? It's tough to simulate that in practice until you see it, live, and did a really good job there. Then you got to flip the switch, and you have to defend the pass, and Samford and their ability to, they'll throw it out on the edge, then they'll find that spot over the middle, then they'll go deep. I mean, to the ability to prepare and practice for that versus the week before. So I think having played Wofford, that you kind of know what you're going to get with the Citadel. Not that you want to go back to that right now, but I think the way that Furman played, I think that there's some confidence level there that they think they can slow it anyway a little bit. And as we saw, if you can get your offense going, get the lead, it's difficult for those teams when they get behind to come back and win those games.
And again, Chad Staggs, he has stamped his resume as a defensive coordinator with the ability to be successful against option-oriented teams, and it's been really kind of remarkable to look what he's done at Charleston Southern and since he's been here at Furman so far. So you got to like that. I want to go back to Samford just for a moment, because I mentioned this in the in the course of the broadcast, and I think it's worth repeating that, Devlin Hodges gets all the accolades for the passing yardage and touchdowns and those numbers. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does with his feet. And he will run some design quarterback draws and some other things, but his ability to keep plays alive in the pocket and especially rolling to his right, his accuracy of throwing on the run is just not something that you see in a lot of quarterbacks anywhere, but particularly at this level.
Yeah, I also think you see the experience that he does have as well. So he's going to go through his progression. He's been there, done that, feels the pressure, and knows he needs to get out of there. But it's not like he's running for his life, so to speak, and he's still looking downfield. And then if nothing's there, you get out of bounds. Just go back to it was third down and 10, or maybe it was third down and 15, and it was down at this end early in the game. They run the quarterback draw. I mean, they ran everybody off, and just he got it blocked up.
Yeah,
front.
it was third and 9, and he picked up 14 yards.
Yeah, I mean, that was at that point anyway, and throughout the course of the game, there were a lot of big plays, but that was an important play in the ball game, and we saw that. Yeah, I mean, when you spread them out and you do so many different things, and you got to be able to account for them. But you look at the numbers, and there may be 42 yards rushing or something. And the thing about that aspect of it is, a quarterback may rush for, let's say, 83 yards, but if he gets sacked 6 times, he may end up with 12 or whatever. But that other point about that is that they do such a good job of protecting him that as much as they throw the football, and they average throwing the football 49 times a game, and they win 40 out of 52, something like that, the last game, and a couple of quarterback sacks along the way, but he gets it out of there in a hurry and has the experience level to tuck it and run if he needs to.
And it's a big and physical offensive line too, and
experience,
and they know how to pass block. I'm going to be interested to see what happens after this season is done, because Hodges is gone, Ahmad Gooden is gone, Kelvin McKnight is gone. They're losing a lot of their frontline guys. I made this prediction privately the other day. I'm going to make it publicly right now. I think that Chris Hatcher is gone after this year. And I'm not talking to anybody down there. I don't know, anything, no scuttlebutt or anything like that. But I think he's going to parlay these incredible numbers that they've been put up. And he is an offensive guy. That's his resume. That's his reputation. I think he's going to try to parlay these incredible numbers he's had with Devlin Hodges for the last 4 years into a bigger job.
I've been pretty successful wherever he's been. I know I was fortunate enough to broadcast the 2004 NCAA Division II National Championship game. He was the coach at Valdosta, and they won that game, won the national championship, and then was the next step at Georgia Southern, and now Samford, and we'll see. Yeah, I mean, and the other thing about it is a lot of ADs, and you're looking to sell tickets, and sometimes when you have exciting scoring anyway, I mean, the days of bottom line is you need to win however you do it, but I think a lot of fans would rather see, not that you want to turn in the Big 12, but 38-25 versus 13-7.
Yeah. So. No, I think you're right. We need to step out. We'll come back. We'll shift gears a little bit. World Series starts tonight. Red Sox and Dodgers, and it starts in Boston. We'll come back and have some thoughts on that, make some predictions, and still to come, Florida State, Clemson, could they end up in the Southeastern Conference in a few years? Yeah, maybe not. But there's at least some talk about it based on a lawsuit going on out in California right now. We'll get into that later on in the show as well. Dan Scott Show returns in just a moment.
For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant more life-changing wishes. Visit Make-A-Wish online now. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Hall's Chop House in downtown Greenville is the Greenville Steakhouse. Why? Well, it starts with the Allen Brothers Prime Steaks out of Chicago. The rest of the menu falls into place there. But it really goes beyond that. It's their level of service, their commitment to that service. The place is packed every night, and yet Billy and his staff have a way of making you and your table feel like you're the most important table in the place. They have lunch on Fridays and Saturdays, brunch on Sundays, live music every time the doors are open. The Greenville Steakhouse is Hall's Chop House, Main Street, downtown. Tell them you heard about them on the Dan Scott Show.
Mayhem is everywhere.
I'm a fight in the stadium parking lot. One of us was rooting for the home team. The other was also rooting for the home team, but misheard the first one. Them's fighting words. Now we're working this out all over your car. And this could last a while because we're evenly matched. We're both big. We're both better at punching stuff than doing puzzles. We both think Italy's in South America. We both peaked somewhere between 8th grade and the second time we took 8th grade. Oh, and while you were gone, we've both been rammed repeatedly by the other into your car. Our already scarred faces will heal, but if you've got cut rate insurance, you could be living with these dents. So get Allstate, where agents help keep you protected from mayhem. Like me.
Are you in good hands?
In Easley, it's Ray Williams, Allstate, 864-859-7504.
Looking for a great car, but your credit needs work? Premier Automotivations is a professional referral service motivated to help you drive a car you love while rebuilding your credit. Late model cars of all kinds. Premier Automotivations can get you on the road and your credit on the road to recovery today. Serving all of upstate South Carolina, it's Premier Automotivations. Call Sherry today at 864-722-3785 or email cricketgravely@gmail.com.
Go the Distance Performance Coaching offers individualized coaching for distance runners of all ability levels, beginner to seasoned runner, and exists to help you achieve your running goals. All training plans are custom built, tailor-made just for you based on your experience, current fitness level, injury history, and goals. You're going to receive expert coaching from Hall of Fame runner Brock Bailey, and Coach Brock is ready to help you go the distance. You can find out everything you need to know about Go the Distance Performance Coaching and Brock Bailey at the website gocoach.run. Gocoach.run. That's Go the Distance Performance Coaching. Dan Scott and Tom Van Hoy back with you here on this Tuesday edition of the program. Tomorrow is normally Dave Glenn Day, but it's also ACC's Operation Basketball. So Dave's going to be in Charlotte. We're going to move Dave to Thursday and find something to fill that time with tomorrow because I'm certain that people want to get something a lot more informative and entertaining than just me for that 15 or 20 minutes. It's usually the way it works.
Yeah, well, find somebody walking down the hallway or,
Yeah.
Hey, come here. Want to make your debut?
Yeah, no kidding. All right, let's get to the World Series. First of all, here's the schedule. Starts tonight, Tuesday and Wednesday in Boston. 8:09 starts. Travel day Thursday to Los Angeles. And then 3 games there, Friday, Saturday, if necessary, Sunday. Sunday's the only time that the first pitch wavers. It's at 8:15 rather than 8:09. And then should a game 6 and or 7 be necessary, it's back to Boston next week. We'll actually get the World Series finished in the month of October this year if it goes 7 games, as opposed to bleeding over into November like it has in years past. But 2 teams with a combined, I think I read the combined payroll, $430 million. 2 teams with managers who were not outstanding players as far as being superstars in their day, but usually those are the guys that make the best kind of managers, and Dave Roberts of the Dodgers and Alex Cora of the Red Sox. And, the Red Sox have been the best team in baseball all season long. 108 wins. They have not wavered once the postseason began. The Dodgers had some issues at some points in the season, came on strong at the end, and won their way through the National League to set up this series. They're back for the second straight year. How do you see this one matching up?
Well, I think the Dodgers were there last year. Of course, Boston, once they broke the curse of the Bambino, they've been successful in postseason play. The Dodgers were a team that I think 16-26 at one point. Kershaw was hurt, and they were able to kind of straighten things out. They had to they had to get into the wild card and win the 163rd game to have an opportunity, and they played well down the stretch, and they've got solid performers at a lot of positions. They also have guys that they can play multiple positions. So Chris Taylor's a guy that can play left, play center, he can play second base, and you've got some others. So when you start looking at where, if you compare all the infield positions and all the positions, with the Dodgers, they may be a little bit more versatile, I think. But I think they've been there. Last year they haven't won since 1988, right? And Alex Cora comes in, and a lot of the things I read about him had to do with, and he's 43, and maybe some of these older line guys have difficulty relating with the players today, and I think Cora came in there and it was more of an open door policy, and you look at the hierarchy sometimes of, okay, I'm the manager, and yeah, I mean, just having been on the periphery for some of this, it seems like he has a better relationship with the players, the younger players today that can come in and visit with him, things like that. But you end up with 108 wins, and a lot of people will say, okay, yeah, but the American League Central was terrible. There's always something there that said, yeah, you won 108, but I tell you, they're pretty good, and I think playing in Boston and with the Dodgers coming from the West Coast with that kind of, and I think a lot of people talk about this every year when you have a West Coast team that have sunshine, all that kind of stuff. You go into Fenway Park in October, and if it goes to a seventh game, it's on Halloween, right? So I think it'll be a good one. I think Boston will win it. You may see Mookie Betts play a little bit at second base, and you get into the whole situation with the DH, but I think it'll be an intriguing one. You've got some pretty good pitching matchups, and I mean the whole Chris Sale thing. I mean, come on, man. The belly button thing, and he couldn't pitch because of the infection and all that kind of stuff.
Which he was just trolling the media with that, right?
Could. I mean, that's what you read and all that kind of stuff. And I heard one guy say, we went down that road as well. We were talking that we just referenced there, and he said, "Hey, what's everybody talking about? That rather than, man, his velocity's down, his shoulder's been a little bit sore." But you look at Sale, and then you look at here, David Price, and he'd been 0-9 in postseason starts, something of the games that he'd started they hadn't won one, and he was good the other night. Here's a guy that what did he miss a start or two along the way this year because of playing too much Fortnite and carpal tunnel or something. So you do it, but you're going with Kershaw and Sale. That's pretty good matchup in game one. Obviously, the Dodgers hit a lot of home runs. I mean, the Yankees hit 265 and set the record. You forget sometimes the Dodgers hit 235. Boston has adapted more to what Houston used to do or is currently doing in terms of, they're hitting the ball, they're putting the ball in play. They hit a lot of home runs, but they also stole a lot of bases. They hit behind the runner. They're doing maybe some things that are...
Wait. You mean there's a team that's successful that actually is kind of playing fundamental baseball?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. He said that
wow.
They hit home runs, and they didn't strike out a lot. And they put the ball in play.
But that goes against everything that sabermetrics is supposed to stand for.
I know, and but that's that's pretty cool when you think about that. But Betts though, and I didn't realize that. I guess he came up. He was an infielder and he played a lot of second base, and then because of his offensive abilities, they moved to a corner position. But I guess he still takes. He said takes ground balls at second base before every game as well too. So we may see him a little bit there in terms of. When you get to that point, you want to get J.D. Martinez into the game as an outfielder.
So what are the key matchups in your?
Well, when you look at the starting pitching, you always start. I mean, take a young guy like Walker Buehler for the Dodgers. I mean, that's a guy that I didn't really know a whole lot about. I mean, he was really good. So I think it starts with the starting pitching, and I think both teams are. Pretty good in that regard. When Rich Hill is your fourth starter for the Dodgers, I think you're in pretty good shape. So, and then you start talking about the bullpens. Kimbrel has struggled somewhat down the stretch. I mean, not somewhat. It just so you get to the back of the bullpen. Same thing for Kenley Jansen. And some others like that. And Yasiel Puig, when that guy hit the home run, I'm going, oh man, this is going to be something, isn't it? So he's definitely a showman, if you want to put it in that regard. So I think the offense, if the Dodgers don't hit some home runs, I think the Red Sox are better suited in that regard to put the ball in play, make the opposition. Make some plays versus the Dodgers.
Well, did you see the story about Craig Kimbrel just in the last couple of days, where apparently he's been tipping his pitches, and somebody finally
who was it? Somebody text him or text.
I stepped up and said, "Hey, this is what he's doing." So I mean, they're hoping that is going to alleviate the issues that he's had here of late, because you're right, he's not been real good here down the stretch. So, but just a lot of intrigue, and again, you've got two storied franchises who have both kind of adapted a little bit of the new world when it comes to analytics and those type of things. Maybe the Dodgers a little more than the Red Sox, but they both employ a lot of the analytics of the game. And it'll be intriguing to see what Dave Roberts learned about managing a World Series from last year,
that experience,
as opposed to this year, when it comes to trying to balance analytics with what you're actually seeing unfold before your eyes.
Yeah, I think and the Royals are a pretty good example of that. They're happy to be there. Played the Giants. I mean, played San Francisco and got beat in the seventh game. They came back and they won it. Now, did I read though this is the first time that these two teams have played in postseason play since 1916? And at that time, it was the Boston Red Sox and the Brooklyn, weren't the Dodgers? What am I? Robins.
Well, no, that people were saying that.
Yeah.
But there's actually somebody posted a program from that World Series. They were the Dodgers. The Robins nickname did not really start getting used until sometime in the 1920s, when it was named after their manager Wilbur Robinson.
Right. Okay.
And they were never officially not the Dodgers.
Okay.
But there somebody, actually one of the National Baseball writers, posted a photo of a program from that 1916 World Series when it says Dodgers versus Red Sox.
Well, they didn't play at Fenway. Fenway, as I understand the story, Fenway was 5 years old maybe in 1916, and they played in the NL Park because it had a larger
seating
capacity. And our man Babe Ruth, a 2-1 game, he pitched off 14 innings, and the game went 2 hours and 32 minutes. Oh, how times have changed.
They have.
So that's just kind of a sidelight there.
Yeah, now TV commercial breaks were a lot shorter back then.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, think about that. But So I think it's going to be an interesting one. And
so you're taking the Red Sox?
I'm an American League guy, and I know you're a National League guy, but I'm going to take Red
How many
Sox.
games?
I think it goes the distance.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take Boston in 6.
Okay.
I think they'll come back, and I think they'll clinch it in Game 6 in Fenway.
Did you see the story about Alex Gordon, that whole stuff about Houston and the cell phones and stealing signs and all that? And his approach was, hey, if they're that paranoid, no big deal. Let them go ahead and do what they want to do. So that was pretty interesting. I mean, they said, hey, it goes on all the time, and it still goes on to this day and at this day and age, but that's, when you got a credentialed guy down there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that adds a whole new level of discussion to the problem.
It's got to go 7 games so it can be on Halloween.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you're right. We'll see. All right, we will go to break. We'll come back. We're going to look at this story of this lawsuit going on out in California that could have major ramifications and start yet another round of college football realignment, and it could be realigned into conferences with teams who want to pay players and ones who don't. And if that happens, Clemson and Florida State could be 2 of the prime teams on the move. We'll tell you more about that when we come back. Final segment of the show following this break. When you're looking for the home of a lifetime, you need a realtor you can trust. With more than 27 years experience selling real estate, Gel Sartain is the choice to help the discriminating buyer find the home of their dreams. Licensed in both South Carolina and Georgia, Gel specializes in homes on beautiful lakes Hartwell and Kiwi, as well as the surrounding areas, and has a wealth of experience working with people with technical backgrounds. Now is the time to buy, sell, and invest in real estate in the Clemson-Seneca area. Let Gail help you realize that dream today. Call her at 404-317-3171. That's Gail Sartain, a member of the National Association of Realtors.
We're all trying to find our way, forge a path, blaze a trail. The work is hard, and the work is personal. But you can't do it alone. At Furman, we're committed to giving you an advantage, the Furman Advantage. We know that graduates who are emotionally supported and who have deep learning experiences in college are 3 times as likely to be engaged at work and thriving in life. At Furman, all students are guaranteed 4 years of rigorous classroom education integrated with high-impact research, internships, study away, and a community of support every step of the way. This is the Furman Advantage.
Hey everybody, Dan Scott. I've been telling you for some time now that I switched to protection of my home and family to Security Complete. I can tell you that I've been ecstatic with the results. Locally owned with more than 40 years experience in the industry, Security Complete uses nothing but the latest technology, which equals low overhead, which equals greater savings to the customer. Fully automated systems with monitoring rates much lower than the competition. Security Complete gives you all this and does not require a contract of any length. Find out more by calling 864-546-0630 or find them on Facebook and Twitter. Security Complete, my first line of defense. Make them yours today.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
Hey everybody, Dan Scott here, and I want to tell you about my technology partner, Carolina Creative Group. When my show needed a creative technology boost, I turned to Carolina Creative Group. My custom design website is going to take marketing as well as brand strategy and development to new levels. The search engine optimization means that my clients' ads will be seen by more people more often. And if I have any questions, Carolina Creative Group is just a phone call away. Friends, that is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. You can find out all the ways that Carolina Creative Group can help your business by simply calling 864-250-2012. Again, that's 864-250-2012, or simply visit them online at carolinacreative.co. Carolina Creative Group, technology partner of the Dan Scott Show. Tom and I are back for the final segment of this edition of the Dan Scott Show. Again, tomorrow, Dave Glenn will not be with us. He'll be with us on Thursday, but we're working on getting something plugged in for tomorrow. And then Friday, we will visit with Scott Keeler and hopefully Gene Henley from the Chattanooga Times Free Press to get a look at what's going on around the Southern Conference. And it's not going to be too long till we're going to start filtering basketball in here. First Paladins game is November the 6th.
Yeah, just around the corner.
Against Bob Jones. So, all right, let's take a look at this story on this lawsuit in a Northern California district court. It's listed as Austin versus the NCAA. It's a former West Virginia running back and another former college player who have filed this lawsuit, basically seeking an injunction against the current NCAA scholarship limitations, which is room, board, books, tuition, cost of attendance. And as Dennis Dodd wrote in this expanded story on CBSSports.com, he calls it the mother of all pay-for-play lawsuits to date, in that it basically seeks to end the long-standing quote-unquote collegiate model. Now, the trial went into closing arguments last week, and the plaintiffs in this suggested that conferences be allowed to make their own determinations into whether or not they want to compensate players. Mm-hmm. So this is why we said Clemson and Florida State may be SEC bound. If that happens, and there are people inside of college football, college athletics in general, who are quoted in this story who believe that the NCAA is going to lose this lawsuit. And it could start another whole round of realignment. And the realignment this time will be based on schools that want to pay their students and schools that don't want to pay their students, or conferences that want to pay student athletes and conferences that don't want to pay student athletes. And the prevailing theory is that the ACC would be a conference that would not want to pay its student athletes, and that could springboard a move that would see Clemson and Florida State moving into the Southeastern Conference, because the SEC, as we know, is going to go all in on whatever they have to do to keep doing what they're doing. So that's where all of this speculation comes from. This is going to be something to watch. Now, if they do lose in this district court, they will appeal, and it could end up going all the way to the Supreme Court. But at some juncture, Tom, you have to wonder if the NCAA sees the writing on the wall regardless and gives the conferences the autonomy to decide if they want to compensate players or not.
I don't think they'll do that unless they lose the lawsuit there.
So you think they'll take it all the way to Supreme Court?
I think NCAA, yep, because they have stood behind their model for so long anyway, and it's like pulling teeth to get it to change anyway. I mean, I'm an old school guy. I love the rivalries, and I love the conferences, the way they were, and the rivalries that were there. But that's not the real world that we live in monetarily, and I think a lot of folks thought that this is probably where it was headed anyway, from a super conference the ones that can versus ones that can't. Even the cost of attendance, some of the smaller ones can't have reach the compensation level that, and for those that are at the Power 5 conferences, to them that cost of attendance is, I mean, it does add up, but they have the ability to be able to pay that because of all the money that they do have coming in. And was it in that article where it said that it was at Louisville on their facility where they have retinal scan?
Right.
And
why? Just because they have all that money.
What are we going to do with it, type of thing? But I think you're eventually, and like some guys that I talked to, I mean, in recent years anyway, that not that I know anybody at any level or anything like that, just general conversation with people and talking about, thought that eventually you're going to end up with whatever it is, the top 64. And
right.
They're going to do their own thing, and then everybody else, go ahead and do what you want to do. Whereas we're going to do this.
You know what's interesting, and Dodd points this out in this article, is you go back to 2003 when the ACC kind of shook up the college world by raiding the Big East and pulling out Boston College and Miami and Virginia Tech and bringing them into the Atlantic Coast Conference. It's the ACC that started this whole thing, and not only the conference expansion, but kind of as Dennis Dodd writes, doing away with what he called a certain level of gentlemanly conduct among commissioners. So it would be very, very interesting to see that, maybe 20 years later, we're at 15 years now, depending on when all this is finally settled, 16, 18, 20 years later, that the ACC, who started all of this, ends up losing its two biggest football cash cows because as a conference they would not want to participate in a model that would pay players in any kind of way, shape, or form.
And the way that article reads is you can pay them whatever you want, right? I mean, it's up to the discretion of whomever, and then you would get into there are a lot of moving parts in that story, but the way I interpret it too is that you get rid of the model goes away of what you just mentioned, tuition, room and board, and all that kind of stuff, and then you got a Wild West thing going, don't you? In terms of, all right, well, I'll give you this and you can have that, and how much, I don't know how it's going to play out in terms of quarterback gets this and backup D lineman gets this. I don't know.
Yeah, and there are some who, as he talked about in the story, who are even saying that this would be in a way payback to the ACC because you can't. I don't see a scenario where a team like Duke, for instance, would be, or Stanford, as another example that he points out, would be schools that would voluntarily participate in a system that paid players. Okay, so if they're not going to do that, and there are other schools inside the ACC who kind of fit that same model, what's that conference going to look like? Is it, would it continue to be a power conference? Again, I think you're right. Where we are eventually headed with this thing, in whatever situation, in whatever way it looks, it is 4 16-team super conferences. We have the Power 5 now. We're headed towards 4 16-team super conferences where the top 64 teams are going to do their own thing.
Well, and Dan, the other interesting thing, how many athletic departments, even at the Power 5 level, actually make a profit? And it's something like 20 or something like that. And so you throw that into the mix, and then where do you go from there? I mean, there's a lot of, those that are in the accounting department become as important maybe as those that go out and recruit to a certain extent, because what are we going to do with this? How much are we going to do this? And then, and how do we disperse it within the, not necessarily, we're talking about football here, but in terms of the entire athletic department, because if it does go that route, then the money that they're going to spend for football is going to go from here to here. And where are you going to get that money? Is there going to be, obviously the media contracts and all that kind of stuff that have grown exponentially to allow you to look at the arms races that you have now at the Power 5 conferences when you look at football facilities and everything.
Well, if your Kansas Jayhawks weren't paying 4 football coaches simultaneously right now, or whatever it is,
we'd be in a little better shape.
Yeah.
And you're looking at maybe one more. So and what was it the other day? Was it the Gus Malzahn, what was his buyout at Auburn? Something like $38 million. Yeah. They wanted to go down that road, and I read one article that said, well, that wouldn't be much of an issue. And I go, really? Is that where we are right now?
It's we used to talk about it being monopoly money, and I don't even think that monopoly money would take care of it now. It is a whole different world. But just keep an eye on this lawsuit.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Because the closing arguments were last week, so which means that we should have a decision sometime soon. And then, what happens there again if the NCAA loses, there will be appeals. This is a district court in Northern California, so there are several steps. But they believe this could get all the way to the Supreme Court.
And they did quote a couple of high-level administrators or NCAA people or somebody in that article that said that they think they're going to lose.
Mm-hmm. One Power 5 commissioner has already told CBS Sports, quoting Dennis Dodd's article, of the trial, quote, "I think we're going to lose." That's a commissioner of a Power 5. So who knows?
That can of worms is about ready to be opened.
Yes. Yes, it is. And you know who's not going to get any of that money? Us.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, we never do. We're not getting any of the money that's out there now. That's an hour, man. It's gone. We'll be back with you tomorrow. I will. And again, we'll have something to replace Dave Glenn, who will be with us on Thursday because of ACC's Operation Basketball, and continue to start looking ahead towards what's coming up this weekend in the Southern Conference and beyond, and look for other little odd pieces of information that we can share with you along the way. Enjoyed it.
It did. We'll head to the Citadel this weekend, see if we can get one.
Yep. And more about that as the week goes on. Listen, you folks have a great rest of your, what is today? Tuesday, right? And we'll be back with you tomorrow, same time, same place. For Tom, I'm Dan, reminding you, go out and make a positive difference in somebody else's life. And until tomorrow, God bless you, and so long, everybody.